You're all set, Mr. Chairman.
Good afternoon, everybody. The library committee meeting for November 10th. We will start out with the review of the committee minutes from last month. Any changes to the minutes, Mr. Lamar, that you saw? All right, we're good with minutes. We'll go right to Mary Lou for the record.
Okay. Excellent, thank you. Just give a few brief overviews. I wanted to provide a town branch update. As you know, we're having to relocate out of the town branch in the Newburgh Mall and consolidate services for the next few months at the Main. We have a lot of packing up to do. We have collections that need to be moved around, sent back to the publishers. We have furniture that needs to move. So we would like to close on November 23rd to public service, but that would allow us to have we will still do delivery pickup at the Main for the town residents. But the staff would be working while we're closed to the public to pack up boxes and you know, get the files and everything in order. And we start the transition of moving things over here. So that was the time frame that we thought would work because we're right smack in the middle of holidays now. And we do have to be out of that space by December 31st. So it doesn't give us a lot of time, lots of stuff to move. Accumulated quite a few things in 10 years. So I don't know, do we need an approval to, okay, for the, we would need an approval from the board to close the town branch on Wednesday, November 23rd for service at that location. And services, other pickup services would be consolidated at the Main.
So we need to put that on the 22nd agenda for the school board.
Okay, and then we will be officially out of that space on December 31st, which is when our extended lease ends. Okay, any questions about that? I know it's frustrating. Construction update. We're the never-ending story right now. We have two really nice spaces. One is the Local History Resource Center is completely finished. And we're starting to move into that space. The Tech Hub is, we have a couple of glitches that came up. We have a bifold door that will enable us to move out into the, the main area a little bit more, expand that space. That has not come in yet. It was ordered months and months ago. There's some part that's missing, and we have been on top of this, pretty much daily, Eric, which if you would agree, trying to get this door installed. We're also looking to adapt the door handles on the rest of the public restrooms down there, so that they lock inside and out. We found out that they lock inside, but if you press the handicap button, it will open. We don't need those kind of surprises. So, hello. And now these are two big open spaces. There's no vanity wall or whatever they would call that. So those are being replaced. So, we're getting there. We're almost done. We have our technology is up. We have been using, especially the Tech Hub. We've had Pilates classes in there. We've had computer classes in there. And we're starting our small business program for entrepreneurs, and that's already been in that space. So even though it's it still needs some tweaking, we are occupying it, and having that extra space is wonderful. It really is. It makes a big difference. Any questions on the construction? We do have, Eric Wilson is here from our construction management firm, Calgi and Associates, and he's going to present the change orders in a little bit. Okay. Nice thing to announce, Assemblyman Jacobson, who has been super supportive of us over the last few years. We got a notice from the state, actually, that, not the state, from the national office of the IMLS, Institute of Museum and Library Service, that he had nominated the library for a national medal for library services, which was really kind of a nice feather in our cap, as you say, or my mother used to say anyway. But so we were very excited about that. We won't hear whether we win until spring of next year, but it is always just an honor to be nominated. It's really kind of fun. So more to follow on that. Hopefully, good news. I just came back from New York Library Association. NYLA is the acronym, has a training every year. It was nice to finally get back in person. We were able to go and see each other again instead of our little faces on Zoom. And a number of different standards were presented. And there is a change in education law regarding mandatory Board of Ed training for all libraries across the board. That is something that starts in January of 2023. And there should be more information coming out about that. But the intention behind that is to upgrade the level of oversight and knowledge and just understanding of responsibilities for governing a public library. So that standard is coming up in January 23. It's 2 hours per year. Pretty doable.
Yeah.
Okay. It was really nice to have an opportunity at NYLA to present on the New York standards, minimum standards for public libraries. I was asked to present on the strategic plan that we had created, and really enjoyed presenting that from the perspective of bringing the staff together, all folks from different areas of the staff, not just librarians. It was clerks and other folks as well, our security, that looked at planning for the future. And so that was something that, I was proud to present on behalf of the library because it was a collaborative effort with the staff. And I wanted to present that today for review and hopefully approval by the board ultimately. And we do want to take this to the community for evaluation and input as well. And I want to make sure that we were in that direction. We had a big group, and the last page shows you, who was involved, because I believe very strongly in giving people credit where credit is due. And this was kind of fits and starts between everything that was going on. But we had a group called the Insight 21 Committee. It was open to all of the staff. These are the folks that participated, and we worked on it from part of 21, part of 22, and we finished it in June, and then we break here from the library committee for the summer. So I just really wanted to make sure that this was presented to the new committee, and have it available for any questions or that you might have. But we really worked hard, especially on our mission, vision, and value statement, and then our strategic objectives focused on 5 specific areas of library service. Also, it was very important, if we can go back to the first page. I'm sorry. I thought you had the control system. The mission, vision, and values was, as I mentioned, something that our staff really worked hard on. We did a lot of wordsmithing. We went through various iterations of this, but the focus was to ensure that what we do and say is represents the community-centered library model that we, feel very strongly about. We had 5 strategic objectives that we were working on: service, facility, outreach, staff, and support. And so that's how the document, if you want to move forward a little bit, how the document is structured. And the staff met in various times to create the different activities and objectives for each goal. So we put a lot of work into this, and, you know, it was really important to us that it doesn't become a paperweight, as lots of plans do. And, you know, we want it to be an organic document. So we've committed to looking at this quarterly, and I've met with the different department heads on our management team to create goals within their own departments about how they will reach, you know, the goals that are pertinent to them. I mean, some of them are not pertinent to all departments. So, any questions? I don't know if you had a chance
I have
to.
a question.
Yeah, yeah.
So this document, you said the community is going to have some input on this. How is that going to happen?
We're looking at it a couple of different ways. I'd like to have a couple of community forums. We have a really neat service now that we're, as the Central Library, we are testing out a marketing software called Orange Boy. And it enables us to custom send information to our patrons based on, you know, interests and things, so that we're not just sort of throwing it out to the universe and hoping it sticks, but we're actually targeting messages to, you know, if we have kids programs targeted to parents and whatnot. And so we will put out a notice, several notices to the community asking for participation, and then they will have an opportunity through those emails to respond, and then we will connect with those folks. That's one way. The other way is to actually, you know, invite certain people that we think would have valuable input to this. You know, our parents, you know, our frequent users, and community members that use the facility for lots of different reasons. So we have a couple of different strategies, but it was important, of course, at first to just get this approved, make sure we're heading in the right direction.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we had a,
So the committee is okay with sending the strategic
Yeah,
plan on the
that's it.
22nd?
Oh, yeah.
I was running, it's very good.
Yes, Mr. Ford.
Just question. Are you ready to bring it to the board for consideration, or are you gonna edit it and modify it based on stakeholder involvement from the community?
no, I mean, I'd like to make sure that it's approved first, and then be able to go out, and then we can add that input. Feedback.
I guess we'll approve the draft. And then the draft will go out to the community. Is that okay?
It's not normally the way strategic plans work.
Once the board approves it, that's the final document.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's why I'm saying, what, could you?
All
wait
right, so
until
working
January?
document, and we'll come back to it with the,
Just wait 1 month, get the input from the
Yeah.
community so that it really means transparency and that you really value their opinion to put into the plan. I think it sends the right message.
Okay.
And have you designed the different ways to do that? Like maybe a survey and maybe.
yeah, and that's what this Orange Boy marketing software enables us to do, is to create surveys within that. And then we would have surveys via that. We would have surveys on the floor. We'd have surveys after programs.
Maybe a few.
Yeah, and then bring the group together. You know, kind of just a small community forums. Okay, the other item I bring before you is, you know, we are part of a consortium of 47 libraries in 4 counties, known as the Ramapo Catskill Library System. Part of their responsibility each year is to have the member libraries approve their annual budget. And, you know, as we are part of that. So this had gone out, this was sent to the board back in September. And the nice thing about this, and there's been some changes in the way the system is structured, but we don't have any increase this year in our services from RCLS. And I'm just impressed with the way that they're growing and changing their, you know, they just provide great services to us. It's like, to me, one of the biggest flagship things that we offer is that, you know, we get a lot of bang for the buck. To be able to share resources, not only amongst our own libraries, but, you know, the services that RCLS has a series of consultants on every level, IT consultants, marketing consultants, financial consultants, and we're able to glean from their services on a regular basis for, you know, pretty nominal fees. So this is a you know, put this before you. They're asking for approval. I support what they have presented, and especially since it's not costing us any more than it did last year, it's even better.
So we'll send this to the full board on this one.
And- Yeah, and, okay, and then that, this is the budget ballot that would need to be signed. I think it's part
I
of
think it's on the last page, but yeah.
anyway,
I got
yeah,
you.
it was just if you needed it.
No problem.
I have a copy. Motion to approve disposal of obsolete equipment. It's a biggie.
Getting rid of a lot of stuff.
Yeah, well,
There's
no,
one
this is
overhead
just stuff that's been sitting, it's just an overhead projector that we don't use. And we're trying to clear out the rock room, which is, you know, kind of the dumping ground. So we're trying to clear it out and make sure that we have some organized space down there. And that's just something that's been sitting there for years. So I just would like to be able to get rid of it. If that's okay with you.
Yeah.
And then we have Eric Wilson from Calgy and Associates, and he is our construction management firm, and he's presenting a change order.
Great. Now, has everyone had an opportunity to look at it if they wanted to before the meeting?
This is all sent out.
See it? Great. So we only have one change order to talk about tonight. It's for the electrical contractor. This is a change order for existing conditions where we're dealing with existing wiring and conduit in the tech room space primarily. And a change order is what's called a time and material, or TNM change order. It was approved in advance to proceed as a time and material change order. And then the work was tracked on a daily basis by our staff, Fred Sula, who was there. This third page, that's just sideways, is a signed ticket or series of tickets that are combined together into one document that represents work on 3 different days, where the contractor, whose name is Rotolo Electric, came with 2 people. Yeah, it's probably easier.
It's on the top.
It's no, that's right there. Control J or L, right? L. Control L. I don't know what's bracket. Is it left bracket? I'm sorry, I can't read it.
Just hit the little squiggly thing on the top.
Control left bracket. Oh yeah, you're right. I see up there. The circle with an arrow.
Left.
Keep going left.
No.
Middle on the right.
One
Right there, right there. You got it. 2 more. There you go. Okay. So you see, and Rotolo is electrical contractor. Sean Tyler is the electrician who's managing. Sean, excuse me, and Tyler. Sean Marquis and Tyler is his assistant electrician who is doing the work. And you see the total hours is 2 men, 15 hours. So the first day was September 2nd, then the 7th, and then the 8th is on the right. The first day that you see they bundled the low voltage wiring. So low voltage wiring is your internet cable, your fire alarm wiring, all those things which are above the ceiling space in the work area. So we have a cloud ceiling, as you probably know since you've been in that space, and that cloud ceiling is opened up to the area around. So it's really important that all those wires which were hanging, you know, when we demolished that space, they were hanging all over the place, and they had to get bundled and organized and grouped. Some of the conduit had to be relocated because it was in the way of the ceiling structure. So that was what was happening the first day. Sort of getting their hands around it. 2 men, 6 hours. They had to remove one 1-inch conduit that was in the way of the ductwork in that space, which was the reason for the whole change order for the time material to deal with these things, because it was really not in anyone's scope to do that above ceiling removal as part of the contract. The second day was 5 days later on the 7th of September, removal of conduit with 15 control wires and multiple feeds, labeling and removing wires. So they not only removed the materials, they also organized them and labeled them. And part of the time and material, this is the time portion. At the end on the right, you see the material portion, purchasing new EMT and conduit, new cabling, zip ties, and the wire nuts, all basic stuff. But all those come into the total on the prior page, which we'll get to in a second, which got rotated. We'll have to rotate that one too, but we'll go back there in a second. You see wire labels and also the 600 foot of red THHN. That is also for the cabling. That's a length of material. And the book of labels, because as I said, they had to relabel a lot of the wires. And on top of, for this third day, they're pulling new cable. So we had to make some new connections in the space once we had opened it up to reconnect for areas that had to be rerouted. And J boxes are these junction boxes that are in the walls. So it's all normal stuff. It was anticipated that some of this would be dealt with as part of the contingency for the project. So we weren't surprised to do it. It had to get done, and Rotolo did it in a timely fashion, which they've done customarily with their work. So we were pleased with the results on this work. If you go back to the blue page, and then rotate that once, that'll take those same items. So it's 2 minutes, 6 hours first day, 6 hours the second day, 3 hours the third day. That's a total of 15 hours. And that's totaled here. Pipe, wire, couplings, and connections are most of the material for a total of, I don't have that in front of me. A total of $500. Again, in the realm, that's the normal price range. We were not surprised with any of those prices. They're all rounded off a little bit because they have the receipts and everything. And then the 2 men at 15 hours at $92 an hour, that's prevailing wage. And that's also part of the contract. It's a requirement by the state to meet those labor rates. So that's where the numbers come to: $500 in material, $2,700 in labor, about $3,200. And then on top of that, the contractor is entitled to overhead and profit for a total of 15% per the contract. So that's where the other, basically $500 is there. So for a total of $3,749. So that's where the numbers come from. We went there and watched the work. In this case, there was some T&M work which happened without our being there, which is not this one. That's in a future one. But typically, we try to be there every time they do the work. We get called in advance and schedule it. Sometimes it happens without us, but in this case, we were there. So it's in a nutshell. Any questions?
No, I'm good with that. That's a very good explanation. That sounds
No, it's
perfect.
just-
Yeah. What?
I always love your explanations. It's very clear.
Is it helpful?
It's so,
Well,
you
that's
have
good.
no idea. It's
Because for
very
me, it's
clear.
all, it's like, daily stuff. So
Yes, thank you.
you're welcome.
I have, thank you.
No problem.
I have one person I would like to add to our agenda. Kelly Grady is here. She's a library media specialist with Meadow Hill, and she's here to present on her work in the district.
It's very nice to meet some of you in person. Thank you. In addition to being one of the library media specialists at Meadow Hill, I'm also the district's library facilitator and staff developer this year. So I am here representing all the lovely folks that we work with to bring library services to our students. So we are serving 12 schools across 15 campuses now, I believe, with the inclusion of Ann Street. We have 13 campuses served. We have 13 certified school library media specialists. We have one who is pending certification. He will be getting that in December, and he's currently acting as a long-term sub. And we do have one position vacant at Temple Hill. Our elementary and middle schools are operating on a fixed schedule, so we are in the specials rotation. The high schools are all operating on an open access schedule so that the students can come and go when they have their free periods, and teachers can schedule library time and they can co-teach with the library media specialists. We are trying to move towards open access and more project-based learning, particularly in the middle schools, in collaboration with our teachers and our TFs. So some of the awesome things that we are doing. I'll start with my own school at Meadow Hill. We call the Genius Lunch Hour, and students are welcome to come and just enjoy their lunch in a more relaxed atmosphere. I provide Legos, puzzles, coloring sheets, word search puzzles, and they, of course, are welcome to bring their own computers. They can work on any of their classwork that they need to catch up on. We have spa music playing in the background, and the children seem to enjoy it very much. There's always a waiting list. I can only fit 40.
I know, darn. Okay.
So, yeah. So Sandy Roll over at New Windsor has restarted book clubs. We're so happy to be back in person and be in a really much more normal setting. In addition to that, Joe DeMeo at Bombville has reinstituted her literature study groups and book clubs. Stephanie DePola at Gardnertown has implemented a makerspace and a coding club during an explorations period. That's a period, it's not really an instructional period. We all seem to have them in one iteration or another, where we are basically covering for vertical team meetings at the elementary and middle school levels. So we try to do creative different things with them during those times. Just want to make sure I got everybody. Okay, finally, Michelle Wright-Jump, who is our librarian at Horizons on Hudson, was named the New York Library Association School Librarian of the Year for 2021. We're extremely proud of her. She is currently working on a local history research project where students are collaborating with local historians And she also is working with some of our literature ambassadors. Those are high school students from NFA North that are helping her process all the beautiful Today Show books that she got from Jenna Bush. And that's working out really well. And we hope to expand the literature ambassador program and bring it into middle schools and eventually the elementary schools as well.
Excellent.
Exposing the next generation to the library media specialist.
That's it. If there's
Career,
any
yeah.
assistance that they need from our local history resource center, happy to provide that.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, and I know that Michelle has worked with Lisa Kochek from our youth
Yes.
services, and they collaborated a lot on that project, which is really a wonderful project. One of the things I'd like to do in our new space is have that as an archive
Mhm.
for these books that the kids have created and these stories that they've created, so they're accessible. And years later, they can come back and they're still there, so that there's some interactive element that their stories live on.
And it's such a wonderful collaboration and it really does make local history come alive. We have such a rich history in this area.
Yeah,
So
that's for sure.
having our students have access to that and take ownership of that, I think is wonderful. So just looking towards the future, we'd like to move towards a little bit more of a flexible schedule, just to enable us to collaborate more with our core subject teachers to increase the benefit to our students. Over the summer, I had the opportunity to do some project-based learning. I was scheduled as the librarian during one of our summer school programs, and we did project-based learning in collaboration with Museum Village in Monroe. So the children were calling me the dinosaur lady. I'm thinking of having a t-shirt made. But they did actually have the chance to do some hands-on archaeological work where they could dig up the real mastodon bones that were found here in Orange County. So we'd like to move our department in that direction and hopefully just continue that benefit for our students.
Excellent.
As far as circulation, there has been at least a 70% increase in circulation since returning to in-person learning. And we're just looking to have a little bit more support, I think, just in increasing some time for collection and program development so we can continue bringing these amazing services to our children.
That's wonderful.
So thank you
Very
so much for
comprehensive.
giving me a little time to say hello. It's very nice to meet you.
Absolutely. I hope you are a regular fixture.
I will be here.
I want to also point out with gratitude that on our report, I don't know if it's possible to go back to the library director's report, but there is a digital e-content number there for a service called Sora, which is the downloadable books. And you see the contrast between August, where there's 57 books that were checked out, to September 873, and then to October 976. And that's thanks to your library media specialists that are exposing the kids to this whole plethora of material. And again, the benefit of the consortium, because it gives them access to not just our collection, but 46 other libraries' collections. So they have a lot to choose from.
And one more really important point that I should have mentioned first is we spent a lot of time over the past year developing our curriculum and restructuring our curriculum to make sure that we are aligned with the Empire State Information Fluency Continuum. That is a set of standards that was created in collaboration with librarians all across New York State. It was headed by Dr. Barbara Stripling, who is the library goddess. She is incredible.
Know her well.
Yes. And we want to, of course, align our standards to be more professional as a department and as a district. We've put a ton of work into it. And of course, digital citizenship and digital literacy is part of our curriculum, and having students use e-resources to access e-text is a huge part of that. Our students love Sora, and you can see it from the numbers. The
Yeah,
numbers don't lie.
absolutely.
So
That's great. And you just remind me too, on a different note, that I was contacted by Kathy Melee, who went with us in the before times. In 2019, we went to Albany
yes,
for Library Advocacy Day. Is that the correct word? Yes, Library Advocacy Day. And we brought a bunch of kids from the district, and they are going to have that in person again in February. I believe it's February 23rd. I was able to communicate that with her. So
okay.
I connected with RCLS about that. And so we should be having the same buses and everything. Usually they meet at the
You got on the
mall.
floor last time, right? With the assemblyman and everything?
Oh,
Big
yeah.
T-shirts.
Oh, it was a blast. Yeah, we had the We Are Newburgh
Yeah.
yellow T-shirts on.
That was not long ago.
We stood out, yeah.
You did. They were like,
Yeah, it
"Oh,
was
I
fun.
thought-
Everyone saw us. It was a riot. So, that was
We
the
would love to be a
goal.
part of that, and especially our literature ambassador students, there are so many students who would love to be part of that, so.
And then, so mark that day, February 23rd. So I told her I would, when more information came out, I would get it to her, but they at least committed to the date and to do it in person, barring any unforeseen, catastrophes.
Now that the world is sort of reopening, we would also like to hopefully attend Island next year. At the
Wonderful.
school library.
That would be fantastic. Yeah, it's a great resource for you, for sure. There were 800 people there this year, which is a lot less than there normally are, but,
Right,
again, it was just nice to see people.
yes, definitely.
A couple of years ago, the library committee actually visited each of the schools' libraries to kind of do a check-in to
Remember
see
that, yeah.
how everything was going, what they needed. Can we set something like that up again sometime in the winter?
We would love
Sure.
that.
That'd be nice.
And that way, if the librarians have time to create their wish lists or things
I
like
think you'll
that.
see a lot of changes too, because I know like there's a lot of I know that you just spoke and I know in another two buildings, that a lot of them have been doing a lot of cross collaborative work with ITF, so there's those tech spaces in our libraries. I know South added it. You did, I know Tampa Hill moved their stuff around that way, so you'll start to see the integration of the digital literacy in that, and I think that was a natural project after you guys wrote your standards for us to piggyback and make sure that the digital literacy and the library, that was hand in hand, because it goes hand in hand. So I think that would be a really great idea.
I'm super fortunate because I do have our ITF right in our space. We are still under construction and finishing up that project. But it's wonderful because I'm lucky enough to have Jim Regan, and he and I collaborate constantly. We have co-taught dozens of lessons since September. So I love having him there as a resource, and having him in the same physical space now is just gonna benefit us. We want to make it into a true makerspace.
Excellent. Kelly, may I have your extension so I can give you a call? Because I'd love to come visit
Sure.
myself, so I have that
It's
visual.
86620,
Thank you. Great.
and I'll give you my cell phone number.
Okay, excellent. Same here.
But we would welcome the board, anybody who'd like to come and visit us, show off what we're doing.
Excellent.
So the 4 resolutions were sent into the board.
3, that one.
Three.
Yeah,
One will hold
strategic
on.
plan, but hold.
Okay.
The other ones, yes.
Okay, that's what I had.
So the next time we meet, we'll be getting the beginning discussions of budget. So
December,
I know
we're
that.
ready?
Any ideas as far as budgets,
Mhm.
we'll need to collaborate on.
Absolutely. Okay,
Great.
we're ready.
Thank you very much.
Sure. Thank
See you
you.
next
Thanks,
month. Have a
everybody.
happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
Thank
happy
you.
Thanksgiving. Gosh.
I had a question for you.
Sure.
The team meeting, is that